Okay, recording.
Perfect. Yeah, everything looks good. Great. So my name is Quinn Iwanshina. I am the treasurer slash president of the Entrepreneurship and Personal Development Club. Very excited to have our amazing guest speaker here today. We're just so fortunate to have amazing people that will come on and speak every week. So much to learn from them, and I can't wait for this meeting here today. So that's my little introduction. If we just wanted to go around, and that'd be great.
Hey, my name is Kenny. I'm a digital marketing officer here at APTC, and I'm also really excited for this meeting. I can't wait to hear what Jordana has to say for us.
Hi, I'm Lillian. I'm the social media marketing officer here at EPDC. And yeah, I'm also super excited. Got to work with you a little bit behind the scenes on planning this, and I think it's going to be a good one.
And my name is Itza Moreno. I'm the advisor for the Entrepreneurship and Personal Development Club. And I'm also working in Bellevue College as a program manager for the accounting program. So welcome everyone. And we also have, so before Jordana, you introduce yourself. Elsa, would you mind introducing yourself, please, too?
Yes, thank you so much for letting me come to your meeting. I had a wonderful conversation with Itzy earlier this week, and she told me all about your group, and I was so excited. I just really appreciate the opportunity to see you, especially, I hear many of you are in marketing, and I'm so interested in hearing from the guest speaker today. Again, my name is Elsa Kellum, and I teach the entrepreneurial marketing classes. So those people who are getting a AAAS degree in marketing management can take the entrepreneurial marketing route. And I hope to, at some point, be able to come back and talk with you about that. But I don't want to take any more time away from the guest speaker right now.
Thank you. We would love to have you later, Elsa, as a guest speaker and tell us more about also marketing and entrepreneurship. So thank you for being here. And I also want So and Mingsen to introduce themselves if they can, and then we'll get started. And Cindy's here today again.
Oh, my name is Mingzhen. I'm a student.
Perfect. All right. So it looks like everyone's kind of gone around and given a brief introduction. But first and foremost, welcome to this week's Entrepreneurship and Personal Development Club meeting. I hope everyone is doing extremely well today, having a great fall quarter, staying dry. It is fairly rainy out there today. But nonetheless, I'm absolutely ecstatic to announce this week's guest speaker. Not only is her resume just filled with amazing accomplishments, but she truly does inspire me on the personal level because I've had the opportunity to work with Jordana actually for the past several months, and she is just phenomenal to work with. And so when I saw she was our guest speaker, I was excited beyond words. So nonetheless, Jordana, if you wanted to give a little brief introduction on yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordana. I'm an international student from Brazil, and I'm currently the Latino Student Affinity Coordinator. That's where Quinn and I work together. Quinn is the veteran affinity coordinator. He's doing a brilliant job, and I'm so excited for all the events he's planning. And I'm working with him is a true pleasure. I'm also a lead peer educator, and I'm currently also in the Equity Education Advisory Committee that was created this year, and it's an inaugural committee here at Bellevue College.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So first and foremost, how did you start getting into leadership opportunities at Bellevue College?
So it's kind of like a different pathway, because it wasn't kind of intentional. I knew that in all my life back in Brazil, I only had interviewed for one job. And then not that I worked that job all my life, but it was kind of like a consequence. So one job led to another, that led to another, that led me to get an invitation to work at another job, and things went that route. So I knew that restarting here in the US, I would have to restart everything again, and I had no experience working, doing interviews. And so I applied for a job like that I really wanted, that I saw on campus, and I thought that I like would do a good job. But I was so overwhelmed with the interview process because it was like 3 people interviewing me and in English, you know. So like I was so overwhelmed with it that I'm like, you know what, like I need to improve this. So every opportunity that I saw in campus for a job, I would interview. And so like one of those interviews, like that, I was so much more relaxed, you know, and and then like they offered me the job, and I was like, what? Because it was Asian Pacific Islander coordinator at the time. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not API, you know, like, and they were like, no, we don't care. Like, we're here for you. We have your back, you know. We just want to create events that are API related. And so I'm like, okay, and talk about imposter syndrome in that job, you know, but like, and like the club at the time, there was no members at all. So I had to start, like being a Brazilian, I had to start an API club with no members at all. So I had nothing, like no support, you know, like other than this amazing faculty and staff that were there to support me, but no student support at the time. And even like some of the students who wanted to get involved in the club, they're like, well, what's a Brazilian doing there? You know? So so that's actually like the story of how like I got involved with leadership in campus, and it's kind of like a different story, but like it also tells you, you know, like maybe you don't see and it was a super successful club. Like we did over 70 events in a year, and some of them had over 200 students online at the time, you know, like, so that was really successful event. Like we had events that in the first 2 hours that were limited events because we were sending packages, like that in the first 2 hours, everything was gone, you know. We've had events that we had to double or triple the amount of items we were sending to students because we had so much more enrollment and interest, and people were sending us emails saying, hey, like really want to participate in this. So it was really successful. So that's one of the things like that, like I learned, put yourself out there, just believe in yourself, and even like maybe sometimes like you don't see things in you, but other people do, and also know who your people are and who's going to be there to support you no matter what. Because I know that like the job that we did in APISA wasn't me. It was a whole support team that I had with Professor Nanma, Mel Nishioka, Professor Leslie Lum, Nora Lance, and especially Pavi Tao, because I don't know, but I like teamwork. And I think that like we're better when we have other people surrounding us and other people also helping us making decisions. You know, so that's one thing that I learned, like listen to everyone, you know, make your own decisions, but like listen to everyone and know who your people are, because in the end, like that's what's gonna make you and your event or whatever you're working on successful. So yes, that's kind of how it started, and then from there, I started seeing like a bunch of different opportunities like in campus, you know. And I believe that like there's no there's no fully student representation, and it's not a fully inclusive campus if students aren't heard and if students don't participate. And then so like that's how I started seeing some things that I didn't like sometimes, and then like I saw things that I did like but I think could be better. And so like every opportunity that I saw, I would volunteer to help, even if it was getting paid or not, because I think that the opportunities are there, you know, and decisions are going to be made. So what we can do, if we want to improve where we are, if we want to transform where we are, is give our input. Sometimes we're heard, sometimes we're not heard. But like I always try to make sure that my opinion is listened to, you know, not in a positive way, but I'm always I make sure that I'm always at the table and that students have a seat at the table, and trying to open more spaces for students to participate, because if students are the base for any college, so if students are being heard and aren't participating in all these decision-making spaces, then it's not a truly inclusive and a representative place, because and sometimes like it's even hard for you to think of people like making decisions, and like they haven't been students for 30-40 years, so they actually don't know, and they don't understand what a student is going through, and they don't know students' perspectives. So we have to make sure that we are in those spaces, because or else whoever's making those decisions, they look at their experience, or even like what they're going through today, and they don't look at the reality of the students where they are, because sometimes they'll look at statistics, but like behind a statistic there's a person, and like what are the struggles and problems that this person is going through to and then what is interrupting their pathway, and what's making their pathway successful in college, So if we don't speak up, and if we don't, as students, organize ourselves and take our place in this spaces, the decision is going to be made anyways, but they're not going to listen to us, So that's one thing, always participate, always stay informed of what's going on in campus, and there are many spaces for that.
Wow, what an inspiring response. That truly is remarkable. I found it quite significant when you talked about arriving to Bellevue College as a new student and just continuously going from interviews and kind of, exploring these different areas. Did you find that interviews got easier over time? Because you mentioned being quite nervous during the first few. Did you kind of, get the feel after a while? And did you use any sort of internal mechanisms to kind of gain that confidence?
No, I didn't use like any type of internal mechanism. Later on, I learned a few with Professor Belnishioka. She had a how to control stress. She gave a course on that, and then I participated in that course also. But I think that for me, it was just getting used to the process and knowing like what to say and knowing how to answer questions and calming myself down, because I think that like I just needed to go over the experience over and over and over again, and getting used to being interviewed by 3 or 4 people at the same time, because that was really nerve-wracking. But I think that for me it was that, like just going through the experience over and over and over again, and always staying positive, and seeing that like, okay, so like I'm getting a bunch of no's, and I did get a lot of no's, a lot of them. But every time that I would get a no, like I would ask the person, like I would write, sometimes they wouldn't even answer me, but like I would write and say, hey, like, could you please give me any feedback on what I did, like what can I do better? And some people would answer, some people wouldn't, and that's okay, but I always had this learn, and I still have like this learn mentality that like every experience that I have, I want to learn from them. I try learning from other people's experience, because that's the best one, but like it's not always possible. So if I go through something, like then that's something that I do like on a normal basis, like if I do an event, like I sit down and think about it, like, okay, so even if it's a successful event, like, what can I do to make this better, even better, so that's kind of like a mentality that like I have. And so every interview that I went to, I would ask and say, hey, like, can you please like give me some feedback on this, and what can I do, like how can I improve this, like what am I doing wrong, and how can I do this better? But like Bellevue College also has resources for that. Which is amazing, because not a lot of places and not a lot of colleges have that. And recently I scheduled an appointment with Tamara Pincas at the, I forgot the name of the place now, but Bellevue College does offer resources that you can practice interviews, that you can work on your resume, that they'll help you work on a LinkedIn profile, they'll help you work on getting a job, because like we're all students here, but for what reason? Like we want to learn, we want to develop, but we also want to get a job, and we want to get a good job that pays off, all this investment of time and money that we're putting into this. So Bellevue College does offer that resource, and which is amazing because the college that I went to back home didn't have anything like that. And yeah, the Center for Career Connections, thank you, Itzy. So all you have to do is go online. Yeah, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. You can go online and schedule as many times as you want, you know, and work through your resume. You can work through, because I had like a traditional Brazilian resume, so, and it's different for what Americans look at, and especially what a lot of social and a lot of technology companies do now when they look at your resume and they'll direct you to someone. So they taught me kind of like how to put it in a way that you're talking to the person who's hiring through your resume. And so like that, and they'll help you do application letters. So we do have that resource in Bellevue, and that is amazing, you know. So if I known that like before, that it was so easy and accessible, you know, I think that I would have had a better experience before. But like sometimes, like as a student, I think you get a little overwhelmed with everything, and then like until you know where to go, sometimes it takes you a little it takes a little time for you to get used to things, and know that like these people are here to help you, you know. And I've sincerely, I've never seen, like, it's because Bellevue isn't that big of a college, not a university or anything, but all the amazing resources that they have to help students prosper. And like sometimes students just don't know about it, you know. So yeah, so like take full advantage of that resource, because it's a great resource and it's a great opportunity, and it's a great way, you know, like to put every experience that you have and make that marketable, you know.
Thank you so much for that answer. Lillian, did you want to ask the next question? If not, it's okay. I have them here as well. So.
Yeah, well, so I would just say, like, what sort of things at Bellevue College have you got involved in that you have found like the most beneficial? And yeah.
Yeah, so there was one that I participated last year that was, to me, was a great experience, just to learn how many people think, because like not all these committees, like, you know, you have to be talking. Sometimes I just like to sit down and listen and learn from what other people, what they're saying. So we had, like, last year during the budget cuts that were going to happen, and I was lucky enough to be chosen. Like, I applied and I was chosen to be on the guidelines committee, you know, like to create the guidelines for President Locke to create his new budget. And there we had people from different big companies from the area. So and it was an environment where I was just, like, most of the time just listening to them, like, and learning how they were seeing the market, and getting that perspective, you know, was really interesting to see, like, what do all these people who are, like, in leadership roles or who own great companies here in the region, how they're thinking and they're planning, how they're seeing the next 5 to 10 years to 20 years, like, you know, what's going to be relevant, what's not going to be relevant, what careers are going to pay more, like where can we guide students to go. But at the same time, like, I listened a lot and I learned a lot from that experience. But like, I also had the opportunity to give my input. And for me, one thing that like I didn't want to see cuts was in DEI. I didn't want to see any cuts in any course that was related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I was able to put that in the guidelines because, like, DEI for me, and I think that that's the next big thing for people to have, for people to know. And not just in a personal life, you know, for you to be a better human being, but also I think it's going to be the next marketable thing that everybody's going to have in their resume, and everybody's going to have to understand, because it's going to become a huge liability for companies if their employees are doing things that they're going to get sued for, you know, and if they're not respecting diversity, equity, and inclusion principles, and if they're not an actually inclusive company. And I've seen, like, this year, for Microsoft, for you to get promoted, one of the things that they took into consideration was your participation in DEI. So I think that's the next basic thing that, like, every employee, no matter where you work, you're going to have to learn how to navigate this world that seeks to be more inclusive and that seeks to bring more diversity and more equity. So last year also I was able to, we had this training, Equity for All training. And from that, like that, it kind of transformed, and we saw, hey, like we just don't want to talk, like we want real action from Bellevue College. We want these things to be implemented. And so I was the student representative on that piece of action. And from there, we decided like to create, so what are the guidelines? So what we want for as an equity, we want an equity committee, and we want to make sure that all the things that are done here in Bellevue College have an equity lens. So we decided to create, like as the whole college, we had over 80 people participating, faculty, classified, exempt, and students. And then we decided like the common thing that everybody wanted was to have an equity committee. And so like I also applied to be an inaugural member of that equity committee, and I'm currently there. Also, like we had this amazing opportunity to on the Title III grant to be a peer educator. It's more like a mentoring program. I really don't understand the educator part there, but it's where we can work with students, representing students in many decision-making spaces, and also work to help students find that pathway and and connect students with resources, which is something that I wish I had more at the beginning, because I didn't know a lot of the resources that were at Bellevue College, and that's something that I'm always trying to do, but make people aware of all the great things that Bellevue College offers and all the great opportunities that like even a lot of universities don't have. It's not like Bellevue College, like, there's a lot to improve, but there's also a lot of amazing things happening and a lot of things that are offered to students that are really, really good. And so, yeah, so I'm also currently a peer educator. Yeah, and then like I don't know, like everything that shows up, the people who ask me, like, hey, can you do this? I'm like, yep. Trying to be a yes person, even things that I don't know. I say yes, and I'll just learn in the process, and try to figure it out and just let them know, hey, like I don't know this, but I'm willing to do it, and just taking opportunity of taking advantage of everything that's offered to you, because I think that like this is a very unique experience, being in college and having this privilege that a lot of people don't have. So I'm just trying to make the most out of it,
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. So our next question is, and you kind of touched base on this a little bit, but what resources, Kenny, if you wanted to go ahead and ask this question. Sorry, we pre-planned everything.
Of course. My next question was going to be, what resources, including financial resources, can students use for entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal development purposes?
So the two main financial resources at Bellevue College are the Sna Funds and the ASG. So Sna Funds, it's a process that happens, and I was also a part of that committee this year, sorry. It also happens like between March and April, and any student, any club, any program, or any person who wants to do an activity related to students, they can apply for those funds. But it's and it goes to an account that you can access during the year. So that's one of the main sources of resources, but you have to be really organized. It has to be an ongoing club, because you have to kind of like show that you did something, so like that you can get the resources to show where you want to go, and then you have the ASG, which all year long, students can apply for resources for ASG, the Associated Student Government. And this team of ASG, like the current president, the vice president, and everybody that I've interacted with, their events coordinator, they're just amazing. They're very friendly, very approachable, and they're really interested in making students' experience here at Bellevue College be the best that it can be. So you can go and apply through ASG. They have on their website, they have some links. I can put them in the chat later. But then you can just go at any time and apply for funds. You can also, and this is something that I did a lot with APISA, especially when we were online. You can partner with many different clubs and even even different places here in Bellevue College. So Faculty Commons has a lot of resources, and they want to work, and they always like working with students, because like they can get that student perspective, and like have students talk about what's important to them also. So I've done 2 events with Faculty Commons. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion has resources. The President's Cabinet has resources to do events. You know, ASG, they have specific funds. So they have funds for tech fees. They have for, if you want to do like an entrepreneurship related to environmental causes, like something related to that, they have a specific fund just for that. And also you can partner with the Affinity coordinators, you know, so if you want to do something about what's happened, like the Black Affinity coordinator just did about Black entrepreneurship, that's a resource that you can have. Or even with us, Latinos, like we partnered for Latino Heritage Month. We can do that also, you know. So if you want to have something that's more directed, we can do militaries, and how many of them, like going back to civil society, like how entrepreneurship and personal development can be beneficial for them and what they've been doing, you know. So there's lots of different resources that you have, financial resources that you can use in that sense, related to entrepreneurship and personal. And so you can talk about all these issues. But like other types of resources, other than the Center for Career Connections, we also have a lot of spaces where you can meet. We can work and develop like so like I never knew, like, and I never saw myself like developing a website, you know, or working like to do social media and working with advertising and marketing and doing all that marketing strategy. So you can do that also through your clubs and programs, you know. So when you're doing a club and you're participating in a club, it's also for your personal development, and it's also kind of like a mini. It's like kind of a mini company, like it's a small entrepreneurship system, because you have to manage it. You have to get club members, and they have to promote it, and then you have to contact people to speak, you know. So that's also, and your product is yourself, you know, you're selling your club, you know. So that's also like a great leadership opportunity and a great entrepreneurship opportunity for many students. You just have to have that vision and see it as what it is actually, you know, because when we're doing events, like you have to, so this, like as a coordinator, what we want to do, we want to reach as most students as we can, and because that way, like it's not that for an event to be successful you have to have many students, because for me it's more like on a personal level, like what people are actually engaging and learning from that event. But like that's what you want to do, you know, like you want to sell your club, you know, like in like for people to buy it and believe in it, you know. So that's also like a great experience at Bellevue College, and there's a lot of resources to help promote those clubs. So it's the same thing. You just have to work on a budget, you know. You have to do your marketing. You have to contact people, and then sell yourself, you know, sell the club, like sell the experience of a club, you know. So that's another way that you can look at it.
Perfect. Thank you so much once again for that answer, Jordana. So at this point, we were going to open up the questions to the audience. Are there any audience members specifically that had any questions that they were wanting to ask? And if anybody does need a little bit more time, that is completely okay too, because I have some as well. You talked a little bit about your background, but has leadership and being involved been a focal point throughout your life? So think about young Jordana, you know, as a child. Were you the one to always volunteer and put yourself forward, or was that something that came later in life?
No, I'm actually like super shy. I'm very, so like kind of like being forced to speak publicly, you know. Because like we have to do that as coordinators, and we have to be in contact with a lot of people, and we have to actually take ownership of these things. So that kind of forced me a little bit, but like I've always kind of like led a little bit, but like in my own ways, but I've always been really shy. And I've always been more like studious than a people person, you know. So actually, like this has been like a great experience for me, like to put myself more out there and to learn different things and to interact with people all the time, you know. So for me, like it was really different. Like when I started in APISA, because I I had like this huge and legit imposter syndrome to be there, and secondly, like I'm shy, you know. So for me, but it was a great experience, you know, to overcome this. And then like right as I started, we started. So we did a mural which was vandalized, and that led like to a whole bunch of complications, and I had to step up on that, you know. And then like right after, like when I started, we went virtual, and all the events that I had planned for API Heritage Month, we had to cancel or adapt, because I remember like sitting at the end of March and thinking like, oh my goodness, like this is coming, like what am I gonna do? And then like I was calling like vendors, you know, and saying, hey, like we're gonna have to cancel because of COVID. And then one of the vendors, like she was so upset, and then she was like, oh, it's okay, you know, like I'm kind of getting used to everything being canceled, like I don't even know what I'm gonna do. And then I was like, wow, you know, so that really touched me, and I wanted to do something. And so we created this format. I called her, and then I said, hey, like, do you think that we can do this online? Because we're having classes online, you know. So do you think you can do an online class? And it was a T class. So I was like, okay, so it's not going to be helpful, like if we don't get the products to students. And then I called her and said, hey, like, do you think that like and this is me like talking with Nora, our advisor, and Roberta, who was this vendor. And then I'm like, do you think that like you could mail it to students, you know, like and jumping all through the hoops, and like thinking of FERPA regulations, and if we could have access to students' address, and what could we do, you know? So with Tess, also from the Office of Student Engagement, who does all our websites, we created this format that people would go online, register, and the vendors would mail the products for students. And it was a success, you know. And we had that first online class, and then like I think I did 4 more events with Roberta, and she's gonna do another one, Teen the Military, with Quinn. And then like from that one, the Office of International Education did a spring, like they sent seeds and dirt like to students' houses to. And so like during all this pandemic, you know, we just started adapting, you know, and dealing like with internet problems. I remember like one of the biggest interview that I was in at the time, you know, right like 15 minutes before, like I had some internet problems. And I was so nervous and so tense, like when we finally started, because like this was a huge event for API Heritage Month, and I was just like freaking out. So every experience that you have, you know, like you learn from them and you try to do better the next one, you know. So it's a process of I think that being humble enough to recognize that like even what you do good, you can do better, you know. But at the same time, seeing what other people are doing and learning from those experiences, and partnering, you know, like getting together with people who want to make you succeed, because there's a lot of that in Bellevue College. You know, there's a lot of great people that work here. Valencia is here, and he's one of those great resources and one of those great people that always works for students. It's the we have Nora, we have Carrie, our director of student engagement. You know, she's always trying to make students' voices be heard. We have Tess, who always works like to bring the best out of students. So, and all the different affinity coordinators, you know, like, so I think that's kind of it, like just get together, know who your people are, and know who the people that are going to be there for you no matter what, who they are, and stand by them, value them, and just just create that team, because, and I think that works, like even in a work environment, knowing who your people are, because not every work environment is friendly, and not every person that you meet in life wants your success, but there are many that do, and I think that, like, if you know who has your back, and if you know who wants the good for you, listen to them, respect them, and like, even if you don't agree sometimes with what they're saying or what they're doing, take their opinion into consideration and stick with them, because the same way that they stand up for you, stand up for them also, and just know who your people are. I think that's one of the best advices that I've ever received, know and recognize that, and like, I really do believe that when you work as a team, things get done better, and I was just giving the example of tests because, like, we have a completely different thought process. It's because, like, I know what I think and what I like, and how I process things, and Tess does it completely different. And she always calls me out on things that I do to make sure that I'm being inclusive, to make sure that I'm respecting every student, and that I'm thinking through to make sure that this is the most accessible and friendly process for students. So she always, and I like that type of thing, because if I have people who just say the same things to me all the time, the things that I already know, to me that doesn't add up, because, like, it's just like a bunch of voices echoing what I think, So that's something that I always had, like, that I've always liked is, and even like when I had interns back home, like, people would say, oh yeah, your interns they're a little too opinionated. And then I always think, like, can somebody actually be too opinionated? Like, isn't that what we want? Like, for people to speak up and talk and give their opinions, because I know what I think, and but if you get people who think differently, you just have to know how to work in a diverse environment, and a lot of people don't. But if you listen to people who think differently than you, I think that's when you get, like, the best events and the best decisions, because you make things happen, like, because I only have one piece, but this person has another, and so we make things better this way, but that's what works for me also. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is really interesting to hear, because I recently read an article. It was Harvard Business Review that posted it, just talking about how diverse teams function better. They cause you to think outside the box, think differently. It's not a bunch of voices kind of echoing what you say. So I really liked that. Also, I just wanted to highlight too, Jordana was the first one to come up with the mailing items to students who register for our Affinity Coordinator events, which is the majority of the events that we do. That's how it's kind of run, just because of COVID. And when I found out that, she was the one that, facilitated this way of doing our events, I thought that was, quite amazing, and truly attested to just her ability to think outside the box. And I think we can all learn from that as well. ITSE posted a question. So that was, how long in advance do you have to prepare an event that requires you to request and spend funding?
At least 6 weeks, because there's a lot of, so that's one thing, like, I think one of the main parts of communication is actually understanding the process and why it happens. Because if you don't understand, like, what's going on and why things are requested, then you can't communicate, because you don't, you're not gonna function. So that's, like, one of the best things, like, understand the process, like, get informed, stay informed. So for us to do contracts at Bellevue College, we need 5 levels of signatures and 5 levels of approvals for student events. And some people take breaks, or they're not there, or they're on vacation. So it takes at least 6 weeks. If you're paying a speaker, or if you're contracting a vendor, it takes at least 6 weeks to get things done, because you have to get all those levels of approval. That starts with presenting the project. So the first thing you have to do, and that's why I say it takes at least 6 weeks, because you actually need around 2 months ahead to prepare something, because you have to contact the person, see when they're going to be available, see if it's a good time, if there's other events, because you don't want to crowd out and do like 20 events in 1 week, because students just aren't going to attend because they get overwhelmed, you know. So you have to space out events in a way that, and organize them in a way that it's doable, that students can actually have the time to attend things. So it takes at least 2 months preparing for something, and at least, because sometimes it takes more. So you have to make sure that all those steps are followed, you know. And you have to have all the logistics for it. Is it going to be online? Does the person know how to use Teams? Because I've had one event that the person didn't know how to use Zoom. And it compromised the quality of the event because of that. So those are things that you always have to think through, you know, how, and so you have, like, first contact, see if this is something that, like, students want. Do your marketing research, you know, is this something that they're gonna, are they going to be interested in this? How relevant is this for students? You know, why do this event? So you have to ask yourself all those questions. And then, like, the second part is start thinking, you know, okay, so what's my budget for this? Does this fit? Is this worth paying it? And the third one, like, organizing a date and time with the speaker that, like, you can still get and know that you need at least 6 weeks to get all the contract signed. So it takes at least 2 months to prepare an event with a speaker. You know, if you're doing, like, catering at Bellevue College, then it takes even more, because you have to have approvals and you have to have a lot of things. But if it's a speaker that, and the person is speaking for free, then you need only 2 weeks, because at least 2 weeks. It's normally going to be 3 or 4, because you have to go through all those steps in preparing. But there's help for that also, you know. So if you need help organizing, if you need help planning, there's also help at Bellevue College for that. You can go to CAB, you can talk with the Affinity coordinators, or even ASG, on how to do the best process for that. But it's length worthy. There has to be a lot of logistics when thinking about it, and planning and preparing and doing all the marketing, and making sure that you're going to reach students, and that this is something that they're going to want to learn and talk about, and participate, you know, and make sure that you put it in a time that's doable for students. We've had events at 7 p.m. That doesn't work for students and employees, you know. We've had events too early. So the best ones, and we actually did a research when we went virtual, like right after API Heritage Month, there was an event like the one that my internet sale, that I thought that was an amazing event, you know, and then we didn't have the turnout that I expected. So we came up, like, in student engagement, we came up with a marketing research. So we wanted to learn from students, you know, hey, like, tell us, you know, what's the best day and time for events? Like, what type of events do you want? You know, how can we better connect with students? And then we got the answers, and so at the time it was the slot from 1:30 to 2:30. That was the best time for students. And we had 157 students answer that question, answer our questionnaire. And so we had to plan for events, and I wanted to know, like, how can we do this the best way possible, you know, to reach the most students that we can. And then it was a Friday from 1:30 to 2, when students wanted events, food related and cultural events. So we started working with that and making sure that, like, we provided those events for students, because that's what they wanted, you know. So I think that's like one of the key parts. Who students want to listen to, why do they want to listen to, and why is it important for them to go through to experience that event. So it takes at least 2 months preparing, if it's something that's paid, but if it's not, it's at least 1 month.
Perfect. That is actually really useful to know, especially for students here who may be looking to kind of start their own organization or become involved. So thank you for that. Turning the questions to the audience once again, were there any other participants that had any questions that they wanted? And if not, that is completely okay. We're all here to learn.
There's just one more thing, Quinn,
Yeah,
that I would
absolutely.
say
Yeah.
that to me like is important if in school or any other institution that you're in. It's just like to stay informed and know who to go and where to go to get things done. Because sometimes like we see things that we don't like, you know, and we see things that we think it could be better or work better. But then that person, like what's happening is that the person is just following some guidelines or instructions or some rule that was created, you know. So I think that, and again, like it's understanding the processes and having information, you know, to have a effective leadership, you have to know where to go to get things done. So if anything that's student related, it's ASG, because they're the ones who create the guidelines on how students' monies are going to be spent. They're the ones who approve or not clubs. They're the ones who do all the funds. So having people on students that are really committed to other students on ASG is fundamental. You know, so whoever's here, like if you can, next year run for ASG, because that's the best way to impact campus, is having that power to make all those decisions and create all those guidelines and create all those rules and change the things that you don't like. And also know who the board of trustee is, because like a lot of people think, oh, President Locke, you know, like our president, but they're even his boss, you know. So the board of trustees and ASG here at Bellevue College are the two most fundamental things. So attend the ASG meetings, attend the board of trustee meetings, learn from them, you know, see who each person is. Try to get like the most information you can about all people. So if there's a situation, you know, just don't go like getting yourself too much involved without understanding like the history of what's going on and why things are going on. And also everybody reacts differently to different stimulations, you know. So I know that like some people, if I just sit down and talk with them privately, I'll get a better result for what I want. I know that other people, depending on what's going on, you know, I have to make more public statements to get things going on. So kind of like know those nuances and know how to get like things from people, because like and that's something that to me, like it's also my personality. You know, I'm not that type of person who goes out. I'm not like, especially because I'm shy, you know, I'm not gonna be that like person that's too much outspoken all the time. And you can only do that a few times, you know, like, so if you're going like publicly about something, you can't go, that's not a resource you can use all the time, because if you do so, then you're the person who's always screaming. So you can like, I'm this is me also, you know, like this is my form of communication. I normally think that if you sit down and talk with people and explain what's going on and what you need, it works better. Because then you can have conversations, and a lot of people just don't have conversations anymore, you know. Know that the doors are open for most students to go like anywhere they want, you know, like you can go and ask, hey, like, can I talk to you? You know, like, what about this? What about that? But like, it's also a resource. Sometimes you do need to scream, you know, like, but always try talking first, you know, like always try understanding what's going on, understanding the situation, and understanding all the processes and why people are doing what they're doing. Because if you're just like saying, hey, no, this is wrong, you know, but okay, it's wrong, but like, what can we do factually to fix this? Where can we go? And who do we seek? You know, because I think that that's how we really change things in the end. Because there's if you're the person who's always screaming, then it just becomes noise. You know, you have to know what you want, what you're fighting for, but also know how to get what you want. You know, to be more surgical, like go exactly where you need, instead of creating a lot of situations that not everybody benefits for, you know. But But I think that that's one of the main things also, know who and how to talk to, because that makes a huge difference on the results you get, and opening doors for you any place, So but also know that sometimes you do have to scream, like sometimes you do have to get loud, but not just all the time, Yeah, governance. Valencia's putting in the chat that governance. So participate in governance, participate in ASU meetings, go to the board of trustee meetings. Go to, like, I normally go, like, if there's something that's like, I don't even know, like, but if I have time, like, I'll attend random meetings just to understand what's going on, So, and I'm always looking at FYI, all these events are coming up, just so you can learn what's going on and the reasoning why decisions are being made, So learn from all those things,
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Jordana. And Lillian, did you have any information on next week's events or just upcoming events in general that our participants can be involved in? Perfect.
Absolutely. We have some really exciting things coming up for the rest of November. So that's next week, right? Wow, this month is going by so fast already. So on the 11th at 4 p.m. actually, so a little bit of a different club time, but if you guys can make it, that would be great. We have a Cafe Flora interview. We're doing like a little mini series on health and wellness. So we're interviewing that local business owner. She owns 3 restaurants in Seattle. So it's going to be really interesting to talk about how she set them up, what inspired her. They're vegan restaurants with a sustainable mission. So that's really awesome. And then, so that's our next event. And we'll have more on that little series to come as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Lillian. Before we end anything, our time limit is nearing, but were there any last minute thoughts, questions? Anyone wanted to include any thoughts or, events that they may be doing that don't have to do with entrepreneurship, personal development that they wanted to share?
This is Cindy. I just wanted to say thank you, and it was nice to meet you, Jordana.
Thank you so much,
great
Cindy.
Meeting you. Yeah, this was great. Like, I was really surprised when you guys approached me to speak, especially because, and I'm saying, like, I'm a shy person, so this is great, and I love talking to you guys, and I hope that we can do this. Oh, Valencia.
Cindy, don't go yet because we have prizes, and I want to tell you, but I'm gonna let Valencia go.
Hi, Jordana. I just had a quick question on what you think the future will be for events run by clubs and programs. Do you think they will maintain an online presence while also capturing the on-campus presence, like balancing that out, or like what is your vision for that for the future?
Yeah, so I was actually just talking about that, and I was thinking of submitting another marketing like research for students, like what do you want from us next quarter? Do you want us to be online? Do you want us to be virtual? I think that, like, at least for this next winter and spring, we're going to be hybrid. And I actually like that we have this possibility of doing online events, like I always try to look at what's positive and like what we can get from all these experiences. So yeah, it was awful going online, but at the same time, it opened us a possibility to have a lot of different speakers for like 1/10 of the price that a normal event with them would cost, so we had speakers who normally charge $25,000 just to speak, plus air travel, plus hotel, plus a bunch of things, and we've gotten that like sometimes for 1/10 of the price. And we've had people from all over the world. We've had people speaking from Hawaii. So we had like hula classes, like directly from Maui. We've had people talking like abroad. We've had some speakers from Canada come in. We've had from Massachusetts, Minnesota, New York, Florida, Texas, So I think that that's a really good format option also, where we still have the possibility to have people come and talk to us online, or even like air it like someplace, and have like, because I think that this was also great to include students who don't have that much of a campus presence, because we do have students that just attend classes online. And so I think that was like, it was awful, like everything that was going on. But like, I would always try to focus like on these positive things and try to get speakers that like we would never even think of the possibility of getting, because it was so expensive, you know, or it was so not possible to do it. So I think that for the future, we're going to have like for winter, I think that we're going to have a lot of more on campus presence, because students miss that. Students miss being with each other, you know, and they miss having those bonds and connections. But I think that we're still going to keep the virtual events for a while, because it's good, you know, like it's we get this opportunity to have so many different people, you know, and so many different experiences that I would never think of, you know, so yeah.
Alrighty.
I put it in the chat, Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can tell them about our price, we have one prize, but you want to talk about it, Quinn?
Oh yeah, definitely. So everyone who I believe is involved or participants in these meetings, we will enter your name into a raffle and actually draw a winner next Thursday. The gift, or the prize, so to speak, I couldn't think of the word, is going to be a $25 gift certificate to a local business in the Seattle area. It could be, you know, store, restaurant, etc. But nonetheless, you know, we thank you all for being here and involved, and you know, you're getting something in return as well. It's kind of a metaphor for the business world. You know, you put in a little, you know, dedication and involvement, and then you receive good things in return. So, absolutely.
Win-win.
But yeah, so we are definitely reaching our time limit here. I just wanted to say thank you for each and every one of you for being in here today. I've always found that, you know, aside from the typical way of learning that we do in, you know, our courses and classes, like reading a textbook, listening to a lecture, etc., being directly involved with a group of like-minded students, I think is one of the best ways to learn. So the fact that we're all able to be here together, as well as have amazing guest speakers and learn from them, I just truly think is the best thing that we can do. So without further ado, thank you so much, Jordana, for being here today. It was truly an honor to have you and to learn about just your story and all that you've accomplished and will continue to accomplish. So thank you. And
don't forget to join us next Thursday. It's not going to be at 12 p.m. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Hopefully you'll be there.